where courage is rare and compromise is currency. One voice refuses to kneel. This is the movement of the unshaken, the rise of the righteous, the rebellion for truth. Welcome to the Truth Rebellion.
They built empires on lies, but truth burns brighter. Welcome to the world where legends awake, drums rumble, deep destiny to stake. Fire crackles bright as the stories ignite. Lions roar, echoes through the heart of the night. In a world where lies are law, truth is rebellion. We don't bow, we don't break. We speak what they silence. Raise your voice where the journey begins. Horn sounding triumph above all the din. Sword clashes ring as the tales unfold. With the mic drawn back, knowing both mighty and bold. This is the truth.
And welcome to the Truth Rebellion, where courage is our creed, faith is our fuel, and compromise has no place. This is where righteousness will rise. Join the rebellion. This is the Truth Rebellion. So, hold on a minute. I know that we said that we were just going to do audio for now until I got a better visual and a better video. But you know what? It is what it is. So, I thought to myself, we did do the first episode audio, but I was able to get the podcast on, not just on Spotify, but on YouTube and Amazon Music as well. And while audio works perfectly on Spotify or even Amazon Music, on YouTube, it does look a little weird that, there's just a logo there or a black screen and you just hear audio, but you don't see any video. Now, the reason why I was going to do audio first, before we did video, was that I was going to, what we were going to do is we were just going to go ahead and, I'm working on getting a full setup. I want to get a full dedicated microphones. And I already have some kind of microphones, you know what I mean? Like some mics that fit right on your shirt or your chest or whatever. And they're great. They work pretty well, really well actually. But I wanted to get some dedicated microphones that you could speak right into, maybe some Yetis or something like that, some Rode mics, and a dedicated camera and dedicated lighting. So I was going to wait till, and have a back setup or something so that, it looks really nice. And we're still going to do all that. But, I was thinking I was going to wait till we did all that first before I started making videos because I wanted it to look nice and crisp and clean. But at the same time, when you look at the way that it works and everything, statistics and algorithmically, usually people tend to watch videos or stay more concentrated on videos than they do audio. So I don't know, man. Maybe we just do video instead of audio, even though the video quality is not you know, I mean, it's not, maybe not horrific, but, you know, we want it to look nice, bro. We want it to look pristine. We want it to look good and clean, you know what I'm saying? We want it to be like when you walk up on here, when you turn this video on, when you see this up on your feed, you see this nice bright light and this beautiful HD 4K Ultra all up over your face and everything, and you look crisp and clean, and you look nice, and you look sexy, and everybody's like, whoa, what's going on here? You know what I mean? It looks like, whoa, it looks like professional, and oh, this person must really know what they're talking about just because of the fact that their setup looks nice. You know what I mean? Like most people, most people that have professional setups, people just believe what they say just because it looks nice, even though a lot of times they're full of crap. You know, and vice versa, it works the same way. But, you know, if you know that it works that way, then why would you not go ahead and make a nice setup? It only makes sense. So, like, I like when you turn on these, like, podcasts and you see, like, their whole face is lit up with this HD thing, and they got this beautiful, crisp, clean audio, and you can see and hear everything, and they got the dual microphones in front of their face and all that. And we're going to do that, okay? Eventually, we're going to get there. We're going to make it look that way. Actually, we definitely are, and it's going to be very nice. So that's why I was going to wait till we did that, you know, and just jump in the pool full-fledged looking super high quality. But then, you know, I was listening to other people that are pretty big now. And when they started their podcast, you know, they were showing some of their early videos, and their early videos were not that great, you know what I mean? They were not that nice. They were kind of normal. So I'm like, well, you know, and then I saw the statistics where it said, like video podcasts are outbeating audio podcasts by like 72% every year on average on Spotify. And, you know, which is obvious. You know, we kind of already knew that was going to happen anyways, right? Like, it's obvious. But, you know, but it's just interesting that its rise is so quickly, so fast that audio podcasts are going, whatever. Podcast is essentially a radio station, pretty much. Like your homemade radio station. You know what it is. So, whatever. So I guess what we're going to do is we're going to do video, and we're going to do audio as well. You know, sometimes we'll do audio, sometimes we'll do video. It just kind of depends what I'm in the mood that day. It also depends when I have guests and who and what guests I have, and if they're more comfortable with video or if they're more comfortable with audio. I cannot stop yawning, bro. But, you know, because some people get a little insecure on video and they don't want to be seen. Even though they don't look bad, they look nice, they look fine, but, you know, whatever. They get kind of insecure sometimes, so you maybe just do an audio recording so that they can still say what they want to say and still be heard and still express their full self and be on the show and have their opinions and everything and talk like a human being, but they don't have to be seen by anybody. And then other people don't care about that, and then there's other people that want to be seen and they want everybody to see them because they look real nice. You know what I mean? So I guess we'll just go back and forth. But eventually, you know, we'll be full video eventually. But this is the I just want to say all that at first because I said that, you know, we're gonna do audio. And I also said, oh my goodness, I also said that we were going to do a this podcast is about anything and everything, bro. It's about the truth. First and foremost, obviously, which I'm sure you probably already pegged if you've looked at the name of the podcast, if you looked at the video at all or heard the intro or looked at anything that has to do with it, I'm sure you already pegged that. So what do I mean by the truth? Okay, what I mean by the truth is this. Is this a political podcast? Yeah, sure. I mean, why not? But it's not only a political podcast, though. You know, it's a truth podcast. Now, some people will claim that they're truthful, but they run away from politics. That doesn't seem very truthful to me. It seems fake. It seems kind of fraudulent, right? It's just not very real. But this is a truth podcast. Meaning that it's not just political. It's cultural. It's opinions, viewpoints on things and subjects. Anything that you could think of under the sun. You know, conspiracies, culture, Hollywood, music, art, business, news events, current events, you know, things that are happening, you know, and politics is naturally in every single aspect of life. Oh my goodness. Help me to stop yawning. Yeah. It's in every single aspect of life. So it's naturally going to cover every single one of those subjects, right? Obviously. So we are truth, so we don't shy away from politics. That doesn't mean that every single episode is going to be political, though, because this is a podcast and we're going to do whatever. You're going to have guests on here. We're going to have people on here. We're going to have all sorts of opinions. We will go with, and we will let anyone say what they want to say. It doesn't matter if they're right-wing, if they're conservative, or if they're a left-wing progressive, okay? It doesn't matter, because we're going to let them talk with their full expression without manipulating or trying to get them to fit to a certain formula or narrative, or they're not allowed to be on the show. We're not going to do that. That's not the type of culture that I want to create, because that doesn't feel like it's truth. You know what I mean? We are uncompromised, unfiltered, unafraid, and we stay true to the brand by being 100% truthful, okay? You might have people on here, they want to talk about the Bermuda Triangle. Okay, sure, cool, whatever. And then people that want to talk about the Illuminati. I mean, that's cool, whatever. New World Order, UN, World Economic Forum, they might want to talk about China, COVID-19. They want to talk about capitalism. They want to talk about communism. That's all fine with me. I don't care, because it's my firm belief. And we might have pro-LGBTQ people on here. We might have anti-LGBTQ people. Pro-life, pro-choice, whatever. It doesn't matter. Now, I have my own personal opinions on all of those subjects, obviously. And if you've heard the show, or if you listen to the show in the future, you're going to find out pretty quickly that I don't shy away from what I think, and I say exactly what I believe, in my opinions, right to the core. So, but my point is that we don't believe in censoring other people, because it's my firm belief that when you're truthful and you just let everybody speak and say what they think and present their opinion, that the truth itself will come out, and the truth will always reign, the truth will always win. But it's important that you have to shine the light of truth in unfiltered uncensoredness, no canceling, and no form of getting, just not letting people talk because you're offended by it. Okay, we're not going to have any of that. So, we might, and maybe not every episode is going to be a serious episode. Maybe some episodes are just going to be about movies and TV and laid back talks, you know what I mean? Basically anything it is my aim to create a place where the truth can be spoken, no matter what it is, for everybody to hear it, right? So people can get on and say what they believe to be the truth. Now, of course, because it's a realm of truth, I'm going to have pushback on some of those things, right? Like if I disagree with someone's opinion, I'm not going to sit there and pretend to agree with them and be like, oh yeah, well yeah, but no, I'm not going to do that, right? I'll tell them what I think too, but I'll let them talk, you know what I mean? We might have debates on here. I'm a capitalist. So if someone's a communist or a socialist and they really think that they have a definitive argument with that, they could come on the show and we could have a debate about it if they really want to. Now, with that being said, I don't want to scare people or intimidate people, because sometimes people might be a communist or a socialist and they just want to talk or have a conversation and they don't really want to get into a debate. That's fine too. If so, but they tell me before the show, hey, this is what I believe, and if we talk about this subject, I'm fine with talking about it, but I don't really want to get into a political debate or turn it into an argument over the screen, whatever. I'll respect that and say, okay, well then we won't do that. We won't go into subjects that the show guests don't want to go into, because we're not manipulative. We're true to the brand. We're the truth rebellion. So we're not going to lie and manipulate and craft, and we're not going to touch subjects people aren't comfortable with, that they tell me they're not comfortable with. But on the other hand, we may get, and it's a great challenge to any communists or socialists out there that do want to have a debate, if they want to come on the show and actually get into a debate back and forth, fully unedited, uncensored, and show everything that's going on, that's fine too. We can do that as well, because I'm completely fine with that. So we'll have debates, we'll have relaxed conversations that aren't debatable, where people just, talk about what they think or what they feel. And sometimes it'll be economical, sometimes it'll be government, maybe subjects on healthcare, conspiracies, psychedelics, drugs, UFOs, spirituality, if you want to call it, or, whatever New World Order, whatever someone wants to talk about, whatever I think would be interesting to talk about, we'll talk about it, or whistleblowers, or true crime, even, or cold case stories, or if somebody knows something and they don't know how to tell the world and they want to tell them, but they don't know where to go or where they can get their full story out without being interrupted. Because a lot of people want to say what they think, but they don't really feel like they have a place for them to say what they want to say uninterrupted and unmanipulated, and have their text or whatever cut up and chopped up and re-put together in a different way. So that's what we're going to do, right? And we'll let them talk and say whatever they want to say. Now, or if they want to remain anonymous and they have some kind of idea about something that's going on, or they know some kind of secret or something they want to expose, but they want to remain anonymous, well, then they just tell us, and they can send us an audio, or they could talk to me directly, and then I'll have a conversation with them off camera, and we can record it the way that they want to say it, and we'll hide their identity, and we'll hide their face, and we'll do a voice changer and all that kind of stuff, and let them say whatever they want to say, you know what I mean? Because like I said, this is the truth rebellion. So we respect the people who come on and what they want to think. So that's really what it is. So AI, technology, no topic, no thing, and no person is off limits, because the truth isn't off limits. And I believe firmly, as I think you do, if you believe in truth, that as long as all sides and everything is spoken and the full truth comes out, that the truth will reign and have its day, and the people will realize what is true and what isn't true, and they'll make their own choices about that, right? So that's what I want to do. So I just wanted to explain all that first, so that people really understand what this podcast is all about. Now, right now I'm working on a few guests. I have a few people so far that I'm pretty sure that I'm going to make a show with, and a few shows that I have in my head. Since we're open to anybody being on the show, if anyone wants to be on the show, it doesn't matter who they are. If they think their life is the most interesting or the least interesting, doesn't matter. Everybody has a story to tell, which is why I'm fine with putting anybody on the show, as long as they have as long as they have a story to tell, as long as they got something to talk about, And some people have incredible life stories. Some people have, all sorts of things. The one thing that I've noticed and realized about human beings is that they all have a story to tell, and some of them are great, some of them are exceptional, and some of them are right where you wouldn't think they were the most. You'll find somebody that's like, right down the street, or a neighbor, or a random person at a gas station, and you get to talking to them for 15 minutes over some gas or something, and the next thing you know, they have this incredible real life story that's like, wow, that's crazy, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm fine with anybody being on the show, because I understand that some of the truest and most unbelievable and craziest things, some of the greatest stories to be told, are right under people's faces, hidden in plain daylight by normal everyday people. So we'll do that too, 100%. And that's what it is. So that's pretty much what the premise of the show is going to be about. Now today today is Halloween, right? So we have our Halloween episode today. Now, what I want to talk about with Halloween is a lot of people, there's many different spectrums when it comes to Halloween, right? Like some people go all out for Halloween, you know what I mean? Like it's their favorite holiday in the world, right? Like they wait all year for there to be Halloween. They celebrate all month. Maybe they celebrate a month or two before they even get there. And then you have this completely other faction and group of people that believes that Halloween is completely off limits, and they close their eyes to it and they act blind. They act like they don't even know it's there. It's like, Halloween. What is that, man? What's a Halloween? Yeah. I don't even know what that is, bro. Is that? What's the Halloweens? Yeah, you know what I mean? and they try to, they try to not even act like it exists. I understand both of them, actually, and honestly. And, I would say that maybe those are two extremes, and maybe like 90% of everybody else is somewhere in the middle in between the two. So what is Halloween, bro? Well, that's a good question, right? We already know there's many different debates about what Halloween is, right? Like, oh my goodness. Why am I so tired, bro? Why am I yawning so much? I know why. Because I'm tired, bro. That's why. I need like some soda or something. I need like an energy drink or some sugar. But anyways, so what is Halloween? Halloween, there's many different interpretations about what Halloween is, right? Like, some people believe that Halloween is just a normal everyday holiday where kids dress up in costumes and they go and they get candy from door to door and they say, trick or treat, give me some candy, something good to eat, right? And that's how they see Halloween. Very culturally heavenly. An innocent bystander holiday. It's nothing to really worry about. You know what I mean? It's Halloween. And then other people believe that Halloween is a pagan holiday, that it comes from old pagan witchcraft rituals and things of that nature. And then other people believe that Halloween is a Catholic holiday, because they say it started with All Saints' Day, or whatever, All Saints' Day, All Saints Hollow, whatever, All Hallows Eve, All Halloween, da 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 da. There's 150 different thousand versions of it, and which one's really true? That's the real question, right? Because this is truth. What's the real truth about Halloween? Well, the truth about Halloween is this. The actual beginning of Halloween, believe this or not, was actually Martin Luther. The oldest traceback of Halloween actually goes to Martin Luther. Surprise, surprise. If you know who Martin Luther is, do you? People should. People probably know who he is. Pretty big deal. Pretty big guy. One of my favorite people that ever lived. I love Martin Luther. Martin Luther was a atheist. He was an atheist that didn't believe in God, and he hated religion. He actually despised the Catholic Church and all religion in general. And he was a fully grown man. He hated it for a while. And when he was on his road home one day, they made a whole movie about this. You should go watch it. It's a really good movie. It really shows in detail what it is. And they show this part I'm telling you about in the very first scene of the movie. He was going home one day and there was a storm. There was a lightning storm happening, and he almost got struck by lightning, and lightning was shocking all around him, and thunder was going crazy throughout the earth, and then he, an atheist, looked up to heaven and prayed and said, God, if you save me from this lightning storm, then I'll become a monk. I'll become a Catholic monk, and I'll join the monastery. That's how Martin Luther first started out. Now, Martin Luther did not die that day, so he took that as a sign, so he to keep his promise for Jehovah. And he went and he joined the Catholic Church, and he became a monk. Now, he was in the Catholic Church for a while. I'm not really sure how long it was. I don't remember. I think it was a few years. And while he was in there, he used to beat himself with like a stick and whips and all these kinds of things. And while he was in there, he read the Bible, and he said that the Bible was in complete opposition to what the Catholic Church was teaching, because the Catholic Church was teaching that you are saved by indulgences, that you give money to the Catholic Church and you can buy your way into heaven. Now, my mom was raised a Roman Catholic. She was raised in that old Roman Catholic religion, and she was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, from Irish immigrants, right, all the way back up the Irish line. So I come from the Irish potato famine. When the potato famine happened and the Irish came down from Ireland to New York to Ellis Island and invaded all of the United States, or so it goes, and then took over all of New York and eventually took over the entire country, right? And down that line was my mom, born in New York, because that's where Ellis Island was, in Brooklyn, born and raised Brooklyn, New York. And she went to, she's a Roman Catholic school. She was raised Roman Catholic. She went to a Roman Catholic school called Mary Queen of Heaven in Brooklyn. I still think it's there today, if I'm not mistaken. We got a letter from them for alumni, as alumni, to donate money to them to help them keep their doors open or whatever's crazy. But so I know a lot about the Catholic Church. I know a whole lot about the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has changed a lot, actually, in modern times here recently, and is even a whole lot different than from when my mama was in it. But I know all about the old, heavy Roman Catholic Church because my mom was raised in it for, years. And she told me everything there is to know about it. Now, my mama is not a Catholic anymore. And I've never been a Catholic. But I know everything there is to know about it, right? It's almost like, and it makes sense, right? She's Irish in New York. The Irish are so Catholic. Most Irish people are Catholic. And, a lot of Irish people marry Mexican women or Hispanic women. A lot of Hispanic women marry Irish men. If you go to the Irish neighborhoods, you'll see like Hispanic women all over the place. Or like Hispanic neighborhoods, you'll see a lot of Irish men there. And, for whatever reason that is, I think I understand it. I think it's because both groups of people are passionate. Both races are very passionate. Both are very emotional, very intense, they both have tempers. They have the same emotional they have that same emotional intensity, that same emotional passion. They get angry, they get pissed off, quite easily, and they have bad tempers. But at the core of it is just a super depth of feel for everything that there is in life. You know what I mean? The Irish people understand that. The Hispanic people understand that. And I think that that's one of the reasons that emotional overlap, why that happens. My uncle actually is married to a Mexican woman. And, because people would always say, that Irish men love Hispanic women. And so I guess where there's smoke, there's fire or whatever. But the thing is that a lot of Hispanics are also very Catholic, right? Especially Mexicans. They're very, there's a high rate of Catholicism throughout Mexico, just like there is in Ireland. Like, it's a typical thing there. So it's not surprising. And, a lot of people up my family tree on my mom's side, they really are still Catholic. So it's not surprising they were raised in the Catholic Church. My mom left the Catholic Church. And I was never a member of it, but I know everything there is to know about it. Martin Luther was a Catholic, getting back on subject, and Martin Luther said, and they used to say that to my mom too, indulgences, all these things. And he said, no, you're not saved by indulgences. He's saved by grace through faith, not by works that any man should boast, because that's what the Bible says in the book of Romans. And he took that and he challenged the Catholic Church. And there's a whole movie about it. It's an excellent movie, great movie. And one of the best movies ever. It's one of my favorite people in human history. It's Martin Luther. And he went on October 31st. It was on October 31st, Halloween, before there was a Halloween, where he went to the Catholic church door and he nailed the 95 Theses to the front of the church door and rebuked the Catholic Church and said that they were not teaching the real Bible, they were not teaching the real Word of God, and created shock waves and earthquakes and cataclysmic events throughout the Catholic Church and all of Europe and the entire world, really, that eventually led to him almost being martyred for that, being murdered. And he was kidnapped by another guy that was one of the heads of the Catholic Church. I forget what it was. I think the head of like the German Catholic Church or something, one of the monasteries. They kidnapped him to actually hold him, to give him a sanctuary place where he was safe from the regular Catholic Church who was trying to kill him. And he was the first person that translated the Bible out of Latin and into German. And then I believe he translated into like 5 other languages, didn't he, after that, so that all of Europe could read the Bible for themselves. And he wanted everybody to see that the Bible, what the Catholic Church was preaching is not what the Bible said. And he split the Catholic Church right down the middle and created Protestantism, right? And, you know, it's debatable whether he created Protestantism or not, technically, evangelical Christianity, right? Because many sects of evangelical Christianity will tell you that there's always been evangelical Christianity, that it was there from the beginning. And even when the Catholic Church was reigning over Europe and all this, there were still these small sections of evangelicals that were there since the beginning, and they were actually murdered and killed by the Catholic Church in the Roman Colosseums with the Spanish Inquisition. They were like the gladiators thrown to the lion's den. That is true. There were actually a lot of Jews that were killed in the Spanish Inquisition as well. Now, what Martin Luther did was he took that thing full mainstream, and he actually, splitting the Catholic Church as a whole, right down the middle, and it completely broke Catholicism's power over Europe and the world as like a Catholic empire. And the Catholic Church has never been the same since. Like, it split it in half, and then out of that came a lot of Protestant denominations. Obviously, Lutheran would probably be the biggest one, right? Named after Martin Luther. But all of those really came out of that movement, right? Lutheran, Presbyterian, Calvinist. All of those really came on down the line after Martin Luther. Quakers and all those type of people. And, you know, eventually out of those, down and down on the line, you get things like Baptist, Church of Christ, Methodist, all those groups. And Pentecostals, Charismatics, and non-denominationals. What people call evangelical Christians or Protestants, right? And a lot of those groups of people will say that, well, we kind of always were here way before Martin Luther and during the Catholic Church. We just didn't have a name for it because we weren't allowed to have a name for it because they just killed us and didn't let us have a name. Oh my goodness. But it's so true though, isn't it? So true. But anyways, so that's actually that's actually where Halloween originated. Interestingly enough, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't think about that. They have no idea. It's really interesting, but that's where it started. Martin Luther and the 95 Theses was on October 31st. That's when Halloween started. And then after that is where you start getting All Saints Day and All Hallows Eve. The Catholic Church turned it into a Catholic holiday. Interestingly enough, I know, that's weird. That sounds crazy, right? Like, why would they do that when it was off of Martin Luther? They don't even like that guy. Like, Martin Luther's their enemy, isn't he? Like, they wanted to kill that guy. Like, why would they make a movie? Why would they make a whole holiday off of him? But, and then other people say, and also that there were pagan rituals, and there's been pagan rituals from the beginning of time, starting with old witchcraft, old paganism, old religions. If you don't know what pagan means, if you don't know what paganism is, because sometimes we throw these words around, because that's the terms that people use, and sometimes, people don't even know what that is. I remember I didn't know what a pagan was. People say paganism. I'm like, what is that? I don't know what a pagan is. What is that? It's a pagan. Well, basically what a pagan is a pagan is just any belief that's not Judaism, that was from Gentiles. That's really what a pagan is, really, when you break it down. Like paganism is really old Irish religions, old Greek religions, old Roman religions, old Egyptian, old Babylonian, all those polytheistic religions. Those are really that's pagan. Pagan is anything that's not based in monotheistic Abrahamic religion, right? That's considered pagan, polytheism. And witchcraft, and druids, and so on and so forth. And it's turned into modern practices, right? Like New Ageism, rooted in a lot of paganism, and the occult, Wicca, and Satanism, and all of that's rooted in paganism. That's all just a fact, And I've had a lot of people, sometimes you say that to some people, and people are like, that's not true. That's not rooted in paganism. Those aren't rooted in paganistic beliefs. And it's like, man, yes, it is. And those are people that don't believe in any of that. It's like, if you ever talk to anybody that's involved in any of that, they will tell you themselves that that's rooted in paganism, because they know that. That's the history of those religions. It's the way it works. So as a result of that, a lot of pagans believed that there was a certain time on the fall solstice, right? Going into the winter solstice, from fall into winter, that there was a time where in the spirit realm, that the veil between the spirit realm and the natural realm thinned. And that it became possible for people to go back and forth from the spirit realm to the physical realm. And they thought that veil got torn and it could be seen through the fog. Interestingly enough, I don't know, why they say that, but they believe that there's this fog and there's this mist that you can see that shows the veil between those two worlds thinning, and it's easy to connect between both on both sides. That's probably why a lot of horror movies have fog in them and stuff like that. Interesting enough. But the thing about that too is that's where you get things from the Disney Channel, like Halloween Town. You ever seen Halloween Town? I grew up watching the Disney Channel. I grew up watching Halloween Town and all that. I grew up watching all of that. So I know those movies. I saw every single one of them. I was there when they were first coming out, And if you know, that's what the movies are about. The veil gets thinner between the two, and she goes through this veil, this portal, and goes into this Halloween town, and she finds out she's a witch, and then she comes back and forth, and she goes back and forth. You know how the movies go. And that's based on the old paganistic traditions of Halloween. That's what it was. So she's essentially going into the spirit realm and coming back in those movies. And that's all pagan. That's all the paganistic roots. And they turned that into an all dead day. An all dead day. And in Mexico they have a variation of that called Day of the Dead, right? And there's variations of that throughout the world. And some people take that as a celebration of death, a celebration of paganism, the occult, old paganistic, old religion practices. That's where the pagan roots come from for Halloween. So all of that, and people that do witchcraft and spells and do all that, they tend to do that towards Halloween. Okay, so all of that happens on Halloween. That's the pagan backstory. Then the original backstory for the date itself, October 31st, starts with Martin Luther reforming the Catholic Church. And then from there, the Catholic Church created their version of it, which they call All Saints' Day, right? Or All Hallows' Eve. And they say that they're celebrating the saints, or the saints that have died. So they're trying to reintegrate with those dead saints, right? And then that ties into the reason why Christians, Protestants, and evangelicals believe that Halloween should be rejected in all of its forms, because Halloween is a satanic holiday. That's how they see it. That's how they believe it. And for all the reasons I just gave you, because of paganistic practices, witchcraft, and the occult, they quote scriptures like in Leviticus that say, "Do not suffer a witch to live." And I say they, but I am an evangelical Christian. You know what I mean? I believe in Jesus Christ my Lord and Savior. But I just say they because I'm trying to give an example of how these things happen. So evangelicals believed that because of that, it created, that's paganistic and do not suffer a witch to live. And many Bible verses say that neuromancy, which is talking to the dead, is strictly forbidden and that it's a sin. So anything that celebrates the dead, like Day of the Dead, or the way that the Catholics see it, which is celebrating the saints or trying to talk to dead saints, that's considered neuromancy and is outrightly rejected by evangelicals. Now, also the paganistic occultic roots of it as well, because all witchcraft is condemned in the Bible as rebellion to God. Evangelicals love Martin Luther, and they see that October 31st was really meant as Martin Luther's version of the day, and that's what it is. So that's exactly what it is. And as a result of that, and because of that, many evangelicals believe that you're not supposed to celebrate Halloween, but that you are supposed to go out and fight the darkness on Halloween, right? So that's where trunk or treat and all of these Christian variations of Halloween came from. That's where all that started. Where you put candy in the back of the trunks in the church parking lots, and the kids come in there and they're dressed like angels instead of demons and all this kind of stuff. Me and my mom were talking about that just a little while ago. It's kind of funny. Talking about dressing up like an angel and going and getting all the candy from all the trunk or treats. Because I love candy, man. And I love candy, man, because I'm in Candyland. I'm a candy man living in Candyland. Ooh, I love candy, man, because I'm in Candyland. And I like Candyland, because I'm a candy man. Ooh, ooh. You know what I mean? Like, for real, I love candy, man. So, because I'm in Candyland, so I love candy, man. And I'm in Candyland, so I love Candyman. And I'm a candy man, so I love Candyland. Cause I'm in Candyland, cause I'm a candy man. I am the king of Candyland, because I am a candy man. I love it, bro. That's just what I do sometimes, you know what I mean? I like to sing. I like to do things. I like to dance and move, bro. But anyways, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, they dress up like angels and stuff like that instead of like Halloween, instead of like demons and stuff like that, And, the essence of where like costumes and all that came in from. And all of that came in from like they believed, well, some people believe that they came in because people dressed the way that they dress because they got those costumes from people like that because they say they got those costumes from what do you call it? From to scare, like they believed that the dead would come alive or something like that, and they would walk around the streets, or like even demons and from the spirit realm would try to come in. And they believed that if they dressed like that, they would scare those beings and not coming into their house. That's where some people say they get it from. Other people say, like the more paganistic approach, that's what the Catholics, more Day of the Dead stuff said, but more the paganistic approach is that that the witches and warlocks and wizards, they would go over into the spirit realm and they would see these creatures inside that spirit realm, and they would come back and show and tell stories and draw pictures and show people what they look like, and that they were actually dressing up on purpose to imitate those beings. If you watch the movies, Halloween Town, they actually talk about this and allude to that, which is why in Halloween Town they say, oh yeah, the mortals on earth actually dress up and imitate us once a year to celebrate us, but this is the real thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's really interesting. And that's why people say, well, they're really imitating demons and demonic objects and beings, and they're actually celebrating the devil and the kingdom of hell. Interestingly enough. So, now, in modern deism, that's how that looks for evangelicals, right? So they stay far, far, far away from Halloween. And some of the practical arguments, right, that a lot of evangelicals make about Halloween is that they say, well, if you ever look at Halloween, it's really the celebration of fear, right? Everything in Halloween is attached to fear. Horror movies is always fear. Everything has to do with fear. It's always about scaring people. It's always about scaring each other. It's about haunted houses and going to haunted houses and going to, you know, like real haunted houses where there's paranormal experiences and fake, quote unquote, paranormal experiences and fake haunted houses where people go for entertainment, where they pay and they go inside and they get chased around by goblins and ghouls and all this kind of stuff. And I've been to I did that when I was a kid, right? I went to a haunted house like that before when I was a kid. You know, they got people chasing around with chainsaws and everything else. You know what I mean? Knives and you know, it is no. And you know, some people are like, you know, storytellers, and they make up stories, and they say that, you know, they had all these crazy things happen to them, and they're like, well, what happened was, because you know how kids are, they start telling, they just tell stories, and all of a sudden it's a real haunted house, and there's someone around there running around that's actually killing people. You know what I mean? But like, I remember going to like some of those haunted houses, and you know, I have some memories on that. And but in evangelicals, that's strictly forbidden because it celebrates fear. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're saying that it's planting seeds of fear, and they stand true to the Bible scripture that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. So they say, no, we don't want none of that. That's all a lie. It's a lie straight from hell. It's a lie straight from the devil. And the truth is this right here, and Jesus Christ is Lord, right? That's the practical reason behind it. Now, what do witches and warlocks and wizards and Satanists and modern day pagans, Wiccans, and people that practice white magic, black magic, and all those sorts of things, and all that is real, those people do exist, whether you know that or not, whether you realize that or not. It's very real. It's very true. I've met many of them. I've talked to many of them. And what do they think about Halloween? Well, they really genuinely believe that Halloween is exactly what they said that it was way back when, that the veil between the two worlds is coming closer together, and they practice witchcraft on those nights. Witches, warlocks, wizards, Satanists, they practice rituals, voodoo, on all of those nights to, as a dedication. They look forward to Halloween every year. You know, I'm not accusing I'm not saying that accusing everybody that looks forward to Halloween of being a witch or a Satanist or a warlock. But what I am saying is that the real witches, warlocks, and Satanists, they do recognize that day and do practice all those rituals on it. In fact, I've actually met some people that used to be witches, like ex-witches and ex-Satanists and ex-warlocks and ex-wizards that talk about Halloween, and they seem to talk about Halloween more than anybody I've ever met. Some of them had weddings on Halloween because they said that they were doing like a satanic wedding on purpose, and that's why they had it on Halloween. And they tell me all the rituals they used to do on Halloween, and why Halloween is celebrated in the Church of Satan and celebrated in all of these pagan religions and witchcraft and occultic and New Age circles, because they believe that it is celebration of the occult and the dead and darkness and all those things. Another thing that evangelicals condemn with Catholics talking about it, meaning saints and, talking to dead saints and all that, they say, well, the Bible strictly condemns that as well, because King Saul tried to do that when he summoned the witch of Endor and tried to summon the prophet Samuel after Samuel was dead, and he was using neuromancy to talk to a dead saint, quote unquote, and it was still condemned by God, caused him to die. So that means that All Saints' Day is automatically wrong. And a lot of evangelicals say that Catholicism was built on old pagan practices, and all they did was overlap Christianity with old pagan practices and roots, and that's where you get Halloween in the first place, and the Catholic Church in the first place. And I've met a lot of people that are into the occult, that are still into the occult, that say that too. They believe that that's kind of common knowledge in the occultic world, that Catholicism was built on paganism and a mixture of paganism and Christianity, which is why they say that they believe that all religions in the world have a form of witchcraft inside of them, even though evangelical Christianity does not. Now, the thing is that I hear ex-witches and warlocks and Satanists, and they talk about how they look forward to Halloween every single year. Now, the most anti-Halloween people I've ever met in my life, and God knows this, God is my witness, God knows this to be true, the most anti-Halloween people I've ever met in my life were all witches, ex-witches, people that used to be witches, ex-witches, ex-warlocks, ex-Satanists. They're the most anti-Halloween people on the planet. They all take it very seriously, take Halloween very seriously, and they all constantly say Halloween was created to be a satanic holiday. On that day, there's more animal sacrifice than any day of the entire year. There's more human sacrifice across the world than any other day of the year. There's more satanic sacrifice across the world than any other day of the world, any other day of the year. There's more rituals done this day than any other day of the year, and all these things. And they say that the entire holiday is dedicated to fear, and that's why they don't celebrate it. And that's true. And, I'll probably try to get like some ex-witches and warlocks and ex-Satanists on the podcast so that, we can talk to them and really ask them some questions. So, because I like talking to those people, because those people are very interesting to talk to. So if you are an ex-witch or an ex-warlock or an ex-Satanist, an ex-wizard, ex-occultist, whatever, you message me, you hit me up, and you come on the show, video or audio, doesn't matter to me, and we'll just talk. Because I love to talk to people and see, it's the truth rebellion. It's just in play right there, right? Because we like to talk to people about the truth. We just want to know the truth. We just want to know the truth. That's what we want. We just want the truth. There's so many lies out there. And like the Bible says, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Satan's a liar and the father of them. So we don't want none of that. We want the truth. We just want the truth. We just want the truth. Lana Del Rey had a song like that. What'd she say? I like Lana Del Rey. And yes, I say Lana with an A sound. Lana. Because that's how I pronounce it. Because that's how I read it. So that's how I say it. So that's how I like it. And I do like Lana Del Rey. And a lot of people maybe not even like that I do. But I do. And one of those songs where she said, cut a rug, ooh, cheerio the fool, lean into the youth. We just want the freaking truth. And I'm like, that's exactly what it is, bro. She's right, that's really kind of what it is, really. She's trying to tell everybody that that's really what it is, Sometimes people demonize this generation, right? I'm a millennial. They demonize the millennial generation. And they demonize the generation underneath me, Generation Z. as this, that, and the other thing, and have all these problems, and a bunch of communistic transgenders, I mean, really, that's what they say about us. But really, the truth is, like she said in that song, we just want the freaking truth. That's really what it is. Millennials and Gen Z, we just want the freaking truth. And, I'm sure a lot of people feel that because it's true. Millennials and Gen Z, we and I kind of make fun of Gen Z a little bit because they're like my little brothers or little sisters, little cousins. I kind of bully them a little bit because they're not as cool as me and they're not as cool as millennials are. But but they're trying though, so I guess you gotta give them points for that. At least they're trying. Too bad they'll never be as cool as me or as cool as us. But at least like us, they care about the truth. They want to find the truth. We just want the freaking truth. What song is that by Lana Del Rey? I forget what song that is. It came out I don't know. I love Lana Del Rey, bro. I don't care what nobody says. I love Lana Del Rey, you know what I mean? And people talk about her and say she's a pagan and New Age and all that. Yeah, probably. I mean, I can see it, but I still like her music though. I like her music. I like Brooklyn Baby. I like Will You Still Love Me When I'm No Longer Young and Beautiful? Will you still love me when I have nothing but my aching soul? I know that you will, I know that you will, I know that you will. Will you still love me when I'm not young and beautiful? I love that song, bro. I love it. With the Great Gatsby and all that, I love that song, man. That song is I love it. Okay? I love it. I love it. I listen to Lana all the time. And yes, I say Lana, because I can already hear it now. I already know all the hardcore fans out there. I can hear them right now inside of me here. It's not Lana, Josh. Why do you say Lana Del Rey? You're not pronouncing it correctly. You must not really be a true fan. You must not really love her. You must not really know what she is or what she's like. No, that's not true. I have every single album of hers ever memorized. 100% memorized in my brain. Born to Die, the Paradise Edition. Oh, yeah, that's right. You know about that? Yeah, Ultraviolence. Oh, yeah. All of it, buddy. I got all of it memorized in my brain, literally. I just want to get high by the beach, get high by the beach, get high. I just want to get by the beach, get by, baby, baby, bye, bye. The truth is I never bought into you when you all of that, bro. You have no idea. And the reason why I like her is because she's like a modern day hippie, bro. And I'm not gonna lie, really, I've kind of fit in that vibe, broski. Me and a lot of the people I know, a lot of the people I'm friends with, a lot of people in that vibe and that generation is we're kind of like that, I'm a modern day hippie, really. But with that being said, with the essence of that, I got flowers in my hair. What she said? She said, my friend's in a band. He plays guitar while I sing Lou Reed. I got flowers in my hair. I get down to beat poetry. I'm like, bro, that's exactly it. Modern day hippies, we get down to beat poetry. It is what it is. Culture. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You feel me? And we're modern day hippies. The only difference between us and a lot of modern day hippies is, maybe, some modern day hippies, it's the same vibe, but some modern day hippies, they got a little too crazy, you know what I mean? I used to love California. California is one of my favorite places on earth. New York's where most of my family's from, and I love New York. I love New York. My mom was from Brooklyn. My dad was from Buffalo. I love LA because I'm a Hollywood guy. Ride or die. And do or die. And, I've loved all these places my whole life, but they've kind of gone a little crazy. They've gone a little off the deep end. So we still got the free vibe, but we just haven't lost our mind. So that's why I like Florida. I went to Miami not too long ago, and I was down in Miami for like 3 weeks, and I loved it, man. I loved every second of it. And I still plan on going down there, bro. Actually, I think I'm going to move there, honestly. I really do. Eventually. Right now, I'm in the process of setting up camp in another city. Because I think I'm supposed to be there, I really do. And there's a reason for that. But, but eventually, the move is going to be to Miami. I'm going to go back and visit Miami here soon. I'm probably going to video and vlog the whole thing. I got a lot of videos from the last time I was down there. I'll probably share some of those. But, I just love that city so much, bro. Because they're free. They're just like me. The vibe is just like me. But they're also like... but they haven't lost their complete minds, right? Like California, New York, like haven't gone full-blown woke and think that being straight means that you're a homophobe, and that if you're not a transgender, then you're automatically a bigot. They haven't completely lost their freaking minds, or think that capitalism is slavery and Abraham Lincoln should be canceled. You know what I mean? They or that there should be a non-gendered toy section, right? They don't believe any of that, because they haven't lost their minds, but they're still free and in touch with creativity and not being a bunch of lame squares with their feet stuck to the ground. You understand what I'm saying? If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Exactly that. As a loser. Lames don't get it, but it is what it is. I hate to say it. Maybe it's true though. So, But anyways, I don't know how we got off on that subject. Oh yeah, we just want the freaking truth. That's one song that she made, and it's so correct. It's true. We just want the truth, bro. That's why, I don't be hating on all these, talking about all these modern day hippies. I like them because to me, I get along with a lot of them more than I get along with a lot of other typical everyday people. You know what I'm saying? Like Russell Brand. I love Russell Brand. And another thing about Russell Brand? Russell Brand is like me. He's in that vibe, in that same vibe of what I mean by that is he was in that modern day hippie. He's like a modern day hippie. You know what I mean? It's that modern day hippie vibe. But also a real, actual seeker of the truth. A real, actual seeker of the truth. A real, actual seeker of the truth. And, when I saw Russell Brand as an actor, I didn't peg him for that. I just saw him as Russell Brand, the actor. But then when I saw him talking, on news interviews, and when I saw his show on YouTube, I was like, nah, man. And this was a while ago, This was way before he ever said that he was a Christian, and way before, way before a lot of people were even watching him. I remember when Candace Owens went on there. He was on there with Candace Owens, and he was talking about they were having a debate back and forth. Great episode. You should go watch it if you haven't. But now the vibe has switched, right? And now he's more on the side that she was coming from, and now she's more going away from it. So it's kind of weird how that works, right? But it does, and that's the way it works. But Russell Brand was always a lover of the truth, and like me, modern day hippie, like me, lover of the truth, like me. And just like Russell Brand, I understand, and I always knew that Russell Brand would eventually get to this point, because anyone that's a real, true, authentic seeker of the truth, doesn't matter what they're into, you're going to get to the same point that I do, that I know that I'm at, that Russell Brand was at, which is that the ultimate truth is that Jesus Christ is Lord. He is the way, the truth, and the life. No man come to the Father except through me. Because Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, and the life. No man goes to the Father except through him. He's the truth that you'll know, and it'll set you free. Jesus is Lord. He's the truth. And every real modern, real in their heart seeker of the truth, eventually down that timeline will be led to the acceptance that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. Praise God, praise Yahweh, hallelujah, in Jesus' mighty name, amen. But, you know, so now you see that all over the place from Russell Brand. Speaking of Candace Owens, though, actually, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Candace Owens. I actually have a clip. From Candace Owens about what she just said, talking about Elon Musk and Sam Altman. If you don't know who Sam Altman is, that's the CEO and the creator of ChatGPT, which is the most well-known public, powerful AI on the planet right now. And some other billionaires, where she actually is now saying she actually believes, not putting words in her mouth, not over-exaggerating, she really actually believes and said this. And I had a bunch of people come to me and they say, well, are you sure this video is real? Where'd you get this video? Is it AI? How do you know AI didn't make this? This is a real video. Where'd you get this? I can't find it on her channel. And I said, this is why you can't find it on her channel. She has a private show. Specifically, she's got her regular channel, her regular podcast on Spotify, YouTube, but she's got a private show specifically for quote-unquote premium users, where they pay like a subscription, like I don't know how much it is, like $5 something a month or whatever, every month, and then she gives them exclusive content, and it's called like the Book Club podcast or something like that. On there, that's where this video is. That's where she said this clip that I'm about to show you now, and where she actually said this. So that's where I'm getting it from. If you go pay the premium subscription, you pay the $5, you go back and watch the video, you'll see it on there. Like, this is real. She actually said this. Crazy stuff. But I'll play that clip for you right now.
I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night, you know? Like, when my phone's getting an update or something. It's something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I know I'm human, but I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed, you know? I'm not going to stab them, but I don't know if they bleed all the way. I think a battery would fall out. You know what I mean? And I just get that sense. I've always known it was demonic. And people just, my personal belief. It's why I am religious. It's why I speak about my faith openly, because I just know if this is not it, and I just know these people are demons. Like, I don't know. They just like look at the way they breathe. Like, you know what I mean? Same thing. I look at Sam Altman. I'm like, look, I don't know, but I know that's not. It's like a droid, obviously.
What are you talking about? Candace. What? If they didn't think you was losing your mind before, Candace, it's gone, man. That's over with. That ship has sailed. Out in the wilderness somewhere, bro. What are you talking about, man? I've always loved you, Candace. I have. Which is why I'm worried about you, man. I'm back. Hello. Crazy, right? I told you. You thought I was making it up? I was not making it up. Crazy. I know. Absolutely crazy. Can't believe it. Listen, I'll tell you about Candace Owens and what I think about Candace Owens, my friend. Candace Owens, I love Candace Owens with all my heart. And always have. And have for a long time. I've loved Candace Owens for a long time. I was there from the beginning. I was there from the beginning of when she made that viral video called Illegals, the New Black. You remember that? When she said that, and that video went viral, and then she became Candace Owens overnight, right? You remember that? I do. I was there from the beginning. I loved Candace Owens from the beginning. I was there in the very first days. I told you, I thought I'm a capitalist. I was there in the very first days with Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk and the whole thing. I saw the whole thing unravel. I was there from the very beginning. And I followed and I stood by and I was loyal to Candace and Charlie all the way through. Never went back, not once. And you go back and you check anything I've ever said on Facebook, Twitter, social media, whatever. I never went back on it once. And I still haven't. And I never will, because it's the truth. And this is the Truth Rebellion. So, anyways, thank God for Charlie Kirk. I cried for days when that came out. Cried for days. Horrible. Almost got into a fight in public an hour afterwards because I was so mad, so angry. This guy was yelling. I almost ripped him out of his car and beat the crap out of him. But, thank God for my self-control. And really maybe thank God for telling that man that I was serious and I wasn't playing around, and I might have beat the crap out of him. I might have really hurt him if he had gotten out of that car, because he chilled out and got back in his car. For real, honestly. Yeah. But the truth is, though, and I'm still not really over it. It's still unbelievable, hard to believe, can't believe it. There's a great song that you should go watch. That is the best song I've heard dedicated to Charlie so far. And the name of that song is How Dare They? By a man named Diesel. It's a good song. I've got that on my profile somewhere, I believe. But I'll share that with you. You need to watch it. It's a good song. Great testament to Charlie Kirk. How dare they take the life of a righteous man? Yeah, it's a good song. It's very good. It's very great. It's amazing. And God bless Erica. Rest in peace, Charlie. We love you. We know you're in heaven looking down on us, watching us with a cloud of witnesses. God bless you, Erica, and God bless your family. God bless the children. We love every single one of you. We pray for you all the time, every day, man. We're with you every step of the way. Promise you that. It's the turning point for the USA. But I was there from the beginning, and God bless, and the whole thing. And Candace Owens, even Candace Owens. Okay, because I love Candace Owens. There was a point where me and Candace Owens literally on the surface seemed to agree about 99% of everything, right? I agreed with almost everything she said. At one point in time, people would say, what do you believe? Who are you most aligned with? And I'd be like, Candace Owens, man. Like Candace Owens, me and Candace Owens agreed 99% of everything on everything that she's talked about publicly. Now, that's not true anymore, right? Because things have gotten so crazy, they've gotten so strange, they've gotten so different. Candace Owens is now extremely anti-Israel. I don't agree with that at all. I don't stand on that wave of things. I am pro-Israel. I love Israel. And I'm still very pro-Israel. I don't agree with that at all. And a lot of people think that, and she's being accused by people and everybody, and Christians and people in the conservative movement and people in the Republican Party and a lot of Christians of being, and Jews, of being an anti-Semite, of being anti-Semitic. Do I think or know that she's anti-Semitic? No. I don't think or know that she's anti-Semitic. I don't think I would go that far with it. At least not at this point in time. I mean, unless tomorrow she comes out and says that she thinks that we should kill all Jews and there should be a second Holocaust, then I'll go back and say, well, what, I think she's anti-Semitic now, but but not until that point happens, I don't know. I don't know that I would call her anti-Semitic yet, because I don't know about that. I think that she's deceived about a lot of things. I do think that, and if it proves to be wrong, like I said, we'll go back and say it, because we don't got no problem with that. Now, the thing is that, besides that issue, just many other things, she just went all out there with crazy conspiracy theories, man. And she started saying that she doesn't believe the moon landing is real. I don't attest to that. I believe it was real. I believe it really happened. She doesn't believe, she hasn't gone full flat earth theory yet, I don't believe, but I don't attest to that. I believe the world is round, 100%. And, but, when it really started going off for me is when she started talking about Macron being married to a man. And I thought that was a little weird. I don't know that I don't believe that Macron was married to a man. And then where it really, really got crazy and weird is when she started to say that man was really related to him and that it was his in the same bloodline, and it was his grandfather. So Candace Owens really believes that Macron is married to his grandfather. That his grandfather had his parents and then had him, and then took his grandson and molested him all the way through his life until he became old enough to get married, and then had a transgender surgery to become a woman, and then married his own grandson. I don't know where she gets that from. I don't know where you get that from at all. I think that's insane. It's insanity. It's crazy to me. Can't believe anybody would think or say or believe that. And I'm not a fan of Macron. I'm not a fan of the way he runs his things and the way he runs politics deep down there in France. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of him at all. But, I think that's a little crazy. I think it's a little wild. I think it's a little too far. I think it's a little insane. But, and now this whole thing with Charlie Kirk, I think, and a lot of people think that she's just a massive manipulator that's trying to take advantage of Charlie Kirk's assassination, and she's trying to take advantage of Charlie Kirk's legacy and his RIP, and is trying to turn the whole thing to make herself viral. A lot of people believe that. I don't really necessarily believe that. I don't think that that's true. I think that Candace Owens actually does care about Charlie and wants justice for Charlie Kirk, and that she's really mourning. And I think sometimes maybe you need to look into that a little bit. You lose someone that's close to you, you might get a little weird. You might go a little off the deep end, it might really affect you or mental health and what you think, you know what I mean? And I think that she really genuinely does care about Charlie Kirk. I don't think she's trying to get like a viral spin out of it and make it all about her like some people say that she is. I'm not so sure I buy into that. I don't think that she's correct, and I think that it's very possible she's really barking up the wrong tree. And I do think that maybe she jumped the gun way too early, really early. No one had the chance to mourn or even look at or look into anything before she, the very next day, almost started making this a whole thing. And like Alex Jones talked about, it was like that evening, within a couple of hours of the assassination, people started to try to tie Israel into it and say Israel was involved. I'm like, bro, why is it all Israel all the time? That's the thing that makes you look anti-Semitic. You realize that, right? Like you think it's all Israel all the time. Like no evidence of anything at all whatsoever within 2 hours. Well, who did it? It was Israel is who it was. It was the Jews. You know what I mean? Like that's a little wild. That's a little crazy. That's anti-Semitic. Now, I'm not saying that Candace said that, right? Because Candace be like, oh, I never said that. You're accusing me of saying I never said that Candace said that. No one's accusing Candace of saying that. I said there were people all over the internet that were saying that, and they absolutely were. I saw it with my own eyes. But, that's why people are pretty sure that Candace is going in the direction where all of a sudden she's going to say that it's Israel, right? I love Israel. I love Bibi Netanyahu. I stand by the Jewish people. So just get that clear and make that clear right now. Now, I know that automatically means all the conspiracy theorists are going to come out that hate Israel and hate Bibi Netanyahu. And they're going to say, that means that I'm a Zionist that's controlled by Mossad and the deep state of Israel, and that I have some kind of secret connections and ties to the Jewish AIPAC and the Jewish party and and I'm really one of their, New World Order implants that was secretly implanted to try and sway and change the core focus of what people think and their beliefs and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, come on now, guys. Really think about this for a minute. Really think about it. What is the difference between you thinking, saying, or factually actually believing that, and them doing that to Donald Trump in 2016 when they said that there was a Russian invasion and that the election was rigged and there was a Russian collusion and that anybody that ever didn't want to go to war with Ukraine was a Russian asset who was in league with the Russian government and secretly had a tie to Vladimir Putin, that sounds crazy, right? And if you were in that, you go, oh, why would they believe this? And yet that's exactly what you're saying to do to people like me. A secret tie to, I have an underground cell phone, an underground wire that connects straight from my house straight to Jerusalem, and me and Bibi Netanyahu talk together on the phone every day about how we're going to control the world. Yeah, okay, I'm sure that's how it happened. Whatever, though. I mean, it's crazy things. But, my thing with Candace, though, is that, like, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. I don't know. She doesn't believe it was a lone shooter. I'm not saying that I know that it was, although I think that is a good possibility that's what happened. Sometimes these things happen, Sometimes somebody goes crazy and they are a lone shooter and they want to kill somebody because they don't like what they say. That's kind of the whole essence of political assassination, isn't it? I do think definitely that there's a spiritual element behind it. I think that Satan wanted to kill Charlie Kirk, for sure, wholeheartedly. I do believe that he's a martyr, that he was a follower and a warrior for Christ, and that in martyrdom, God's using him even greater than when he was alive. He was a voice for truth, and this is the Truth Rebellion, so you better believe we honor Charlie Kirk. God bless Charlie Kirk. But, I am not sure, maybe it's possible that there's a conspiracy in the sense of people conspiring together to bring about this result. Yeah, that Tyler Robinson or whatever was funded by other people. And they all work together to create lapse in security and the exact date and time. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. People that are woke, people in the Democratic Party, people that thought that he would run for president one day, people that wanted to try and intimidate conservative voices, people that tried to do things, people that try to scare people, or, crazy wokesters, maybe Antifa, organized effort, far left, communistic, organized effort, whatever. Or even the higher ups in feds and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's the truth, and it is what happened. It could be a lone shooter, 100%, and it could be that a group of people worked to make it happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they were attached to, like, the government or the CIA, and there's some really big, giant conspiracy. I don't think it has anything to do with Israel or Jews. I think that's a little wild. I'm not saying that you should investigate everything. Yeah, let every stone be overturned and let them look into everything and see what they find. But what I am saying is you can't investigate something determined to find out that it wasn't a lone shooter. You have to be determined to find the truth wherever that takes you. So if the truth takes you to lone shooter, Tyler Robinson, then that's the truth and it is what it is. And if it takes you to more people involved, then it was just a small group of 10 people that were radicals, then that's where it takes you. And if it takes you to a big mobilized effort like Antifa or something like that, or federal things, then that's where it takes you, whatever. But you know what? But you can't just assume it's going to take you there or say, it's going to take us there and we're going to find out Bibi Netanyahu called to hit himself. You can't do all that. That's crazy. That's insane. That is a conspiracy. That is when you're starting to get into the realm of out of tune with reality and into crazy conspiracy. You have to know what's a conspiracy and what's not. Some conspiracies are true, some aren't. Not everything that's the main narrative is a lie. That's just not true. It's not true because it's impossible. If you think that 100% of everything that's ever been the main narrative of a story is true, then you're a fool, right? And most people probably agree with that. On the other hand of it, if you believe that everything 100% that's not the main story, or that is the main story, is always false every time, there's no possibility of it ever being true, you're just as much as a brainwashed fool as the other idiot that believes the other way. Because now neither one of you are leaving room for speculation to the opposite. He will never believe in the speculation that maybe one of the main narratives is a lie, and you'll never believe in the speculation that maybe one of them's true, and that they could actually use reverse psychology on you and just tell you the truth as the true narrative to make you think that it was a lie because they know you would never believe it. You know what I mean? It leaves you open to be manipulated. You have to be able to look at each situation and cut it down the middle and discern for yourself what is real and what is a lie and what is true. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. So that's where Candace is at now, and I don't know. And now it's reptilians and hybrids. And she believes these people aren't even human. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. God in heaven. Help her. God. Candace. That's a little wild, man. That's a little crazy. You went off the deep end with that one, my friend. I don't believe Elon Musk is an alien. I don't believe he's a hybrid. I don't believe he's a reptilian. I don't believe he's not human and he secretly goes in the dark and takes off his skin mask and drinks blood while he sticks out his lizard tongue. I mean, that's crazy. That's a little wild, right? And now that I've said that, somewhere in the ether, somewhere of the entire internet, somewhere down the line of conspiracies, there's going to be some crazy guy. Some crazy guy that's going to see that and he's going to go, they told you in broad daylight, see what I said? He's going to clip that part of the video and he's going to go home and he's going to reverse it and re-edit it and he's going to repost it and he's going to say, look, they tell you in plain daylight, he must be one of them. And then he's going to say, reptilians talking about reptilian things in pure reptilian daylight. You know what I mean? You know, crazy stuff like that. It's a little wild, bro. It's a little crazy. It's not a little crazy. It's a lot of crazy. It's a whole lot of crazy. But we say it's a little crazy because we try to be nice. It's a lot of crazy. Oh my goodness, man. Candace Owens. And it's not funny, you know what I mean? Because I love Candace Owens. I loved her and liked her for a long time. And I love her. It's not an insult. I'm not attacking her. And she probably wouldn't feel that way. She probably, because she's got, you know, she's so strongly opinionated, she probably thinks that that's like a personal attack. He says that he doesn't like me, or he says that he loves me, but the truth is, he's just trying to hide his blatant bias of trying to insult me and make me look bad in front of everybody. You know, that's what she would say. But that's not really true, is it? Yeah. That's what she would say. Maybe. She might not say that at all, you know. She might actually be like, oh, well, no, actually. She might actually be fair. Call it down. Meant to call down the limit right there. Oh, actually, no, I think that maybe he really was just trying to express his opinion and that he doesn't hate me at all. You know? Maybe he really is just concerned with me and doesn't want to see me go down a crazy avenue because he doesn't want to see bad things happen to me. You know what I mean? And then she was on there and she promoted some guy that said that he would do voodoo on anybody that talked bad about Candace Owens or whatever. And he had like an aunt he had an aunt down in New Orleans that would do voodoo on anybody. I'm like, what? Candace, you literally just talked about how witchcraft is not of God. And people try to do witchcraft to curse people. And the Bible is against witchcraft. And now you're over here talking about, you know, how you're going to hire someone to do witchcraft on anybody that talks about you. Like, come on, man, that's crazy. Witchcraft is of Satan. I don't believe in witchcraft as in power anyways. I'm scared of witches. I'm scared of witches, warlocks, wizards, Satanists. I'm not really scared of that. That doesn't scare me. I laugh in the face of that stuff. What are you talking about? Yeah, that's funny. That's the funny one. That's the good one. You know what I mean? Praise Jesus. Jesus is Lord. Yeah. But, you know, I do believe in other conspiracies, though. I went back and forth about 9/11 for a long time, whether a conspiracy or not. But now, you know what? I'm starting to think it is. I'm really starting to actually like be pretty determined, pretty rooted to believe that is a conspiracy. Actually, I have a whole book on it right here that I'm staring at right now, that I'm looking at right now, that I got, called The Iron Triangle. And, you know, I actually made a video about that on my YouTube channel, and, you know, it's about all that. And there's some really interesting stuff in there. It's almost kind of prophetic, really. Actually, you know, we have, you know, there's a clip about Alex Jones actually predicting that would happen before it happened. Tucker Carlson started about this. Alex Jones actually said that 9/11 was going to happen and that they would use airliners, they would use airplanes, and it would be the World Trade Center, and they're going to blame a man named Osama bin Laden months before it happened. And I was like, what? Did he really do that? So then I went and deep searched it and found out it was true. That's exactly what he did. And I got the whole video, I got the clip. Maybe I show it here, maybe I don't. I don't know. Because I think, like, I did upload that somewhere, and, and the powers that be that don't believe anything that Alex Jones says, and he's just a crazy, weirdo, whacked out conspiracy theorist. The fat beta male, and all these things about Alex. They believe he's a crazy, whacked out, washed up conspiracy theorist who has no truth found in him whatsoever, has nothing to say. They went ahead and blocked the video off of their social media and went ahead and, I forget what they said. They said, like, something about it being this or that, or, like, it has to, whatever. I put it on Facebook or something, and they say, it's been muted in certain countries because of certain music rights. I'm like, there's no music in the video at all. What the heck are you talking about, certain music rights? And I put it on YouTube, and they did something. I think they tried to flag it or something. One of the places I put up, they actually took it down. So, like, this is crazy, bro. And now all of a sudden, like, some shorts of mine are not getting the views that they used to get, like, on YouTube. And I'm like, okay. Whatever you say, man. Yeah, nobody saw it. Okay. Not one person saw it. Not one. If nobody saw it, that means it didn't pop up into anybody's feed because your algorithm literally just did not have it pop up into their feed. Because, you have shorts out there that get hundreds of views and some over 1,000, and then this one, and now all of a sudden, nobody sees it. Like, okay. So, so maybe I, have to almost, because of that, have to put those controversial subjects on, like, Rumble or something, just because Rumble would let you go on there and see the whole thing. My Rumble wasn't working for a very long time. I got a lot of videos on Rumble. It wasn't working for a very long time. They just stopped working out of nowhere one day, and I didn't know why. And for months, I couldn't post anything. Then I tried to do some live streams, but the live streams weren't getting as much reach because the algorithm's different on there. Like, a live stream doesn't pop up in your normal feeds the way that, like, if you upload a video. So, like, because I was averaging, like, over 100 views on each video, or a couple hundred views on some of the videos, and then, like, with the live streams, they maybe get, like, 30 to 50. And I was like, man, what's this? And then I tried to do more uploads, and it just wasn't working. And then, it was like, I had to abandon Rumble for a while, and then for some reason started using short videos. Well, I emailed them, long story short, and I finally figured out what it was, and I got the whole thing fixed. Now it's uploading videos clean as a crisp. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Right in time for my podcast. Right in time for the launch of my podcast, all of a sudden I started getting Rumble working. So that's great. That's wonderful. That's awesome. So I'll probably have to put all those super controversial videos on Rumble, because that's the only people in the world that's not going to take them down, because they don't censor free speech and they know that it's actually real and they're not owned by the New World Order. It really actually is what it is, right? Crazy, but it's true. I like Rumble. Rumble's been good to us. They're good people. I like Rumble. YouTube, not so much, I got a clip of Bill Gates on YouTube that surprisingly they haven't taken down yet. And it got 17,000 views. I'm like, whoa. I didn't know it was going to get that many views. Whoa. There's a clip of him talking about population control on a TED Talk. Well, I guess they can't take it down because it was public. It was public TED Talk. So, taking down your own public TED Talk would look a little weird, right? Look a little crazy. Look like you were admitting guilt if you took down a public TED Talk that was on live stream for the whole world to see when it came out, you know what I mean? So maybe that's the reason why they don't take it down. I'm going to re-upload that clip so that people can see what I'm talking about. It's crazy. It's crazy. Bill Gates, oh my God. You got to watch out for that guy, man. That guy's... There's something up with that guy. Like, you really got to watch out for that guy. Like, That guy's crazy. Like, you know, I'm hoping he's not going to be crazy forever. You know, you hope he repents, turns, and changes into a whole other person. We kind of think and hope and feel like maybe he will. But right now, man, you really got to pray for that guy. That guy's, he's gone out there, bro. Not just with the pandemic, but with everything. You really investigate into him. There's so many crazy things about Bill Gates. It is so crazy. He's a super villain. It's like a mad scientist. Like, like the guy's becoming like Dr. Octopus or something. You know what I mean? He's the origin story for a supervillain in a movie, a superhero movie. He's literally the origin story and is on his way. He's like a few cataclysmic events away from having some laboratory accident and turning into a super villain, super mutant that goes and tries to destroy the whole world. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what he is, man. He fits the whole premise and everything. I saw a video the other day of him taking a jar. He had a jar of malaria-filled mosquitoes, and he literally took the cap off in the room, in like the room with all these people in the audience. He's on the stage. He literally takes the cap off and sets the jar down in the middle of that room, and it's just like, acts like nothing, and makes a joke out of it. And acts like nothing's there. And, you know, because it's Bill Gates, all the freaking clowns in the audience all sitting there clapping their hands because they think just because he's rich and they know his face and his name and he has money that he would never do something insane and sociopathic, psychopathic. And, you know, he puts this jar down, and, you know, really what you're actually looking, if you see Bill Gates, you're like, this man is actually like a psychopath and really believes that his money is such a high fortress for him. You know, the Bible actually uses those words. The rich think that the money is their high fortress that saves them. And he really thinks it's such a high fortress for him that he really believes, well, nobody's going to call me out for doing this, I'll just do it. And he opens up a jar of malaria-infected mosquitoes in a room with hundreds or thousands of people. And if they fly out and they decide to just start stabbing people, I guess it is what it is. They all die, you know. Are they going to be able to trace it back to him? Probably not, you know. Well, you know, there was this, that, and the other thing, and, you know, I'm not liable or something. You know, some crazy stuff. But it is what it is, you know. Pretty wild. Actually, I got a clip of that, too. I'll try to see if I can find that clip so I could show that. That's wild, bro. I saw that. I'm like, man, this guy really is crazy, isn't he? It really is becoming that, isn't it? Never a dull moment these days. Never a dull moment these days. Like Elon Musk said on Twitter once, it's never a dull moment around here. Yeah, it's true. Who would have known? You know, you look back 15 years ago, would you believe that Donald Trump was your president for a second term of the United States, and that Bill Gates was the head of a end-all humanity agenda, and that the richest man in the world would have bought Twitter and turned it into a meme factory, and Alex Jones would have wound up coming to the forefront of mainstream media news? It's like a movie script, bro. It's a movie script. It was all leading up. This whole last 30, 40, 50, 60 years was all just one big giant climactic plot that was leading up to the climax of this chapter of the novel, of the story, of the book, of the time that we're living in right now, bro. That's what it was headed for. That's what the whole thing was. Crazy. Or that, you know, Tucker Carlson would get fired from Fox News, and Candace would start outspokenly say that these billionaires are reptilians. Would you have thought that 15 years ago? No, you would have never thought that. You would have never, ever thought that in a million years, broski. Never, ever thought it in a million years, broski. And then, you know what? I think that we're going to make like an episode about with some guests, like about masculinity, or, you know, something like that, whatever. Masculinity, I think, is what they said they wanted to make it about, which is cool with me. It's cool with me. And that should be an interesting episode. We'll dive deep into that, right? I mean, that's a big subject, especially in, today's environment, today's world. That's a big subject because there's so many varying degrees about what people think that masculinity is. You know what I mean? You got very many different definitions of masculinity that different people have. You got people all the way to Andrew Tate on one side of that spectrum that says that masculinity is this very specific thing. And then you got people on the complete, total opposite side of that spectrum that say masculinity is the polar opposite of that. And in today's society, where feminism is such a hot topic button, and misogyny is such a hot topic button, and there's people out there that call themselves anti-feminists, and people out there that talk about sexism against men, and plus with the culture and OnlyFans and Pornhub and the recent porn ban that's going across the whole United States of America. I live in Alabama right now. So porn is completely banned here, bro. Like, it's banned. Like, it's banned. Like, if you try to go on a porn website in Alabama, they will tell you, oh yeah, by the way, porn is completely banned in your state and you can't watch anything, right? And that's not just in Alabama. It started, I think Alabama was the first state that did that. This state did that like months ago. And now it's like spread. Now it's in like 15 different states or something like that. I think 15, 20 states. It's completely banned. Pretty crazy, pretty wild. Never thought that I would see that in my lifetime. I never thought I would see that ever. I mean, it's pretty insane. It's pretty crazy. It's just a culture shock. Just didn't expect that, you know what I mean? Because it's been so mainstream for so long, you didn't expect that to happen. It's really interesting. Just a strange timeline we're living in, right? And we got the flat earthers everywhere. Just a strange timeline where things, just all sorts of culture shocks. Like, it's straight up banned. Never thought you would see that, but that's a big talk in the masculinity field as well. And, the dating field that's going on, and the divorce rates are so high, and then, remarriage rates, and people in polygamous relationships, and people that don't even believe in getting married anymore, and all this kind of stuff. So that is a big, hot topic subject. And we would love to get in that and get to talk about that, bro. That's a big subject. And hopefully we're going to have a couple of guests on here that we really dive deep into that subject specifically and get some viewpoints there. And, going into it, I'm not even sure what their viewpoints are 100% specifically, because we haven't really talked about the subject yet. And I kind of like it that way, man. Maybe I really don't even want to know until they get on the show. And then that way, everything is organic. Everything is real. Everything is raw, uncensored, and unfiltered. And it just goes where it goes. You know what I mean? I think that's awesome. I think that would be great. And whatever their perspective is on it, afterwards, I'll probably try to go and find somebody that has the complete opposite take and belief and spectrum about it and get them on the show too, just because I like this whole idea of cultural clashing, you know what I mean? I like this whole idea. It's the Rebellious Truth podcast, you know what I'm saying? I like this whole idea of one episode we have an anti-feminist who stays away from political spectrums, and then in the very next episode, we have an extremely outspoken political feminist. And then, maybe we get a male feminist on the show right after a male anti-feminist. And then we'll get a female feminist on the show right after a female anti-feminist. You know what I mean? I just think that would be really cool to see the dynamic between those two worlds. Just so people could say, whoa, see what they think and see what they think, and just have them on. Now, I won't bring them on the show at the same time unless they want to be. Then of course, but like I said, we're not trying to jump people into debates or get them in conversations that they don't want to have. So I'm not gonna try to get them on the same show so that they could attack and kill each other. I'm not gonna do that. You let this one speak, and then everything they want to on a whole nother episode. Let this one speak on everything they want to, and if we wind up getting people in the future that are on the show that are, man, I would love to debate this. We'll host the debate, man. We'll have one person here, and let them go at it and let everybody hear what they have to say. You know what I mean? That'd be really cool. But yeah, I think we're gonna make some episodes about that here in the future. And I'm gonna try to get people on here, like I said, that believe in all different types of things, bro. People that are liberal, people that are conservative. And I have such a big, wide group of people, such a big, wide variety of individuals and friends that I know. I know people that come from every aspect of life you could think of, bro. I know super hardcore Republicans that have been Republicans and conservatives for the last 60 years and have never voted Democrat. I know people that have been Democrats for the last 60 years and have never voted Republican. I know people that used to be Republicans that are now Democrats, people that used to be Democrats that are now Republicans. I know people that are super pro-life with no exceptions, and I know people that are extremely pro-choice all the way into the very depth of it, right? I know people that are homosexuals and extremely pro-LGBTQ, and I know people that are extremely anti-LGBTQ. I know people that are everything you think of. I know Christians, a lot of Christians, right? I'm a Christian. I know really Bible-based believers in Christianity, and I know people that are involved in the occult. I know people that are involved in all sorts of spiritualities. I know people that have never done a drug in their life, and people that have done like every drug you could ever think of. You know what I mean? Like, because if I mess with you, I mess with you. I like you, I like you. You know what I mean? And all sorts of people. All sorts of people, and they all got stories, and they all have a good reason for being the way they are. And that's another reason I like the podcast, you know what I mean? Because I think that it helps people to see what somebody's actually about, right? Because in a full-blown conversation with somebody, you can't really you get to see who somebody is, why they think the way they think, why they feel the way they feel, and you let them talk their own viewpoint, and you can see things about people that maybe you wouldn't have seen before, right? Because there's so many stereotypes out there about so many different types of people from so many different beliefs and so many different walks of life and so many things and thoughts and all these negative things and all these accusations and all these words and things that get thrown around about people, that a lot of people assume things about someone when the opposite of them is true, where they don't know why they came to a conclusion, all sorts of things. And when you get them on there and you just let them talk and say whatever they want to say, a lot of the times it will break down the wall of ignorance that comes from thinking that this group of people thinks this way and this type of person thinks that way, right? So people will start to understand, well, that's how these people really think. That's how a Republican actually thinks or feels, believes. That's how a Democrat really thinks. That's why they think that way. That's why someone's pro-life. That's why somebody's an anti-feminist. That's why somebody is into the New Age. That's how somebody got into why they believe in psychedelics. That's how somebody else. That's why they're a Christian. That's the reason why they became a minister. All those types of things, so that at the end of the day, people can see that people are people, and there's really a giant, large story behind the reason why they became who they are. And it's not just because of these crazy stereotypical ideas we tell ourselves. And that doesn't mean, this idea that, there is no truth and there is no blah, 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 whatever. I don't subscribe to that. I don't believe that. I believe there is a truth. There's a light and dark. There's right and wrong. But I also believe that many people that think that they're right are wrong, and many people that think that they're wrong are right. I think that many people think things, stereotypically or off of curiosity or off of misconceived notions, and they develop opinions and worldviews that are not necessarily correct, and that when it's all brought out to the light and everyone's allowed to say what they think and feel and truly believe, that people will begin to, it'll all come to the surface, and when it's all in the light, I believe that that's where the truth reigns. That's when we can see what really is the truth. You know what I mean? That's when we can understand different people and understand different viewpoints and understand why people are the way they are. And that, I believe, when you remove the problems between the two types of whatever subject or whatever group, multiple different subjects on different groups, it brings to the light the solution for those people and people as a whole, right? So I think that, and some people, you understand what I'm saying? So like, it also, we have all these different types of groups of people on here that say whatever they think, feel, and believe, unfiltered, uncensored, in any way they want to say it. Debate, dialogue, or relaxed environment where they're just talking. When you do that, you're actually breaking the idea of ignorance and darkness over people, which is lies, right? Because all lies, all anti-truth breeds in ignorance and darkness. So when people are allowed to show their actual thoughts, their actual feelings, communicated the way they actually want to say them and present them, then it removes the shadows and the darkness of the suspicions or the stereotypes that we have of all of these groups of people. And then it can cause everybody to see, well, that's why they think that way. That's why they come from that. That's where they got that. That's where they got this. And as a result, it causes everybody as a unified group, right, of people, as humanity, it shows people the truth will reign in that place, and there will come to a consensus where people that are truly seeking the truth will be able to find for themselves, this is what I really think or feel or believe on that subject now that I see the perspectives of all these types of people. Does that make sense? That's exactly what I'm aiming for on this podcast. That's exactly what we want to do. 100%. So, if you subscribe to any of that and you want to be on the show, man, you just hit me up, bro. You could be on the show, man. We could do it. We could do it in person, audio or visual. Audio, some people don't like to be on camera, or visual. Some people love to be on camera, and or remotely as well, because some people, they might be like, who knows, 100 miles away, and you can't drive or come all the way over here. So we could shoot it like through video chat or something, and then put it on there, whatever it is. But I'm looking for all different types of people on every array of subjects you could possibly think of to for exactly the reason I just said. So that's what it is, because this is the Truth Rebellion, where courage is our creed, faith is our fuel, and complacency and compromise has no place. This is where the righteous will rise. The dark becomes light. The lies become truth. And the rebellion for truth comes to life where we're not controlled by the dialogues and the propaganda and the ill wishes of others and what they seek to create and try to make us become what the New World Order has in store for us as human beings, and tells us what we're going to believe and what we're going to do and what they're trying to do to us and for us and, with us without our permission. This is not their world. This is the world of the people. This is the world of the populace. This is the world of the population, the human population. This is our world. This is their world. This is the world's world, the population of the people. This is the Truth Rebellion.
Empires on lies, truth, truth burns brighter. Welcome to the world where legends